Everybody, Chairman here. So I decided to talk a little bit about a fun story way back in the day, somewhere around 81, 82. So our local skate park was Skate City or Whittier, and there'd be people like myself or Fred Becker or Steve Bennett, and then eventually Eddie Fiola. But on this one particular night, I had been riding there, me and Steve Bennett and a bunch of other friends, Fred Becker. And so I'm riding the skate park, popping into pools, popping out of pools. And I was known for doing a lot of different jumps and variations and whatnot. And then out of nowhere, this guy comes into the skate park we'd never seen before. And he's kind of like following me around and checking me out. And we start riding together, and we're going in and out of the pools and having a good time, and we end up just chit-chatting. Well, we ended up kind of hitting it off, and so we had to go outside of the skate park that night because they were closing down, and we sat in that parking lot and we talked for at least an hour, and until the lights went out. And that particular rider was Woody Itzen. So Woody Itzen had an idea. They were thinking about starting a bicycle trick team, and he said to me, he says, "Hey, you know what? You're a pretty good rider. We already have a rider that we're thinking about starting a trick team with, but you're a better rider than him, and I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine." And that friend was Brian Skura. So he says, "Hey, you know what? Maybe you can come down to my friend's bike shop." It was BS Bikes on Harbor Boulevard. And he asked us to come on down to BS Bikes, and I came down. And Brian Skura, the madman that he is, the genius, he's like, okay, he had told me later on that he didn't really want to see any other riders. He's already sure on the rider that he had for his trick team. But anyways, he was cordial enough and kind enough to say, "Hey, you want to give it a go?" So he was actually putting me through like a movie audition. So basically what he said to me is like, "All right, can you go out there and do let's say a rock walk?" And I threw a rock walk down really easy. He says, "Okay, can you do a 360 rollout?" So I threw a 360 rollout, no problem. He's like, "Can you ride backwards?" I rode backwards, and a bunch of these different basic tricks that were happening back in the day. And then he's like, "Okay," he says, like, excuse me for the motorcycle. He's like, "You're pretty good, but I want to see if you can really pass the test." So he takes a bike box, right? And he lays a traditional 20-inch bike box down on the ground. It was only about yay high. And he says, "Okay, bunny hop the bike box." So I bunny hop the bike box with ease. And then he's like, "Okay." So he's kind of impressed. So he puts the bike box up, standing up like this. And I bunny hop it super easy. And then he's like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting." So I went over and I opened the last 4 flaps of the bike box, and I bunny hopped it. Right after I bunny hopped the bike box at its highest level, the very first thing that came out of his mouth is, "You want to go to Chandler, Arizona tomorrow?" And so from that day, I became a part of the SST trick team. Myself, Brian Skura, and Woody Itzen, and history was made that day. So we went to Chandler, Arizona that weekend, put on some really rad shows, and had a great time. And we actually had to do some bicycle trick riding on the dirt. If you go back to my old archive photos, you'll see me doing a cherry picker on the dirt, or you see me and Woody doing gut levers on the dirt. But anyways, so that's kind of just a little tidbit of that story of how the SST trick team got started. Brian Skura, myself, and Woody Itzen. And so yeah, so it was great riding at the skate park. Woody shows up, we talk in the parking lot, we go meet Brian Skura. The next day I'm on the SST trick team, and that's the truth, and I'm not taking it back. All right, have a great day.